introduce him to you all. He brings a wealth of skill set. Welcome, everybody, to this episode of the Graphic Designers Hub Show. I have Dathan Boardman here with me, and I'm so excited to introduce him to you all. He brings a wealth of skill set, and we're just going to get to know him, okay? So, Dathan, tell me, where are you located?
I'm in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. I've been here my whole life, two kids, and just been doing the freelance thing for, the majority of my career here. So,
Oh, you are fortunate. Most of us have to go from corporate world to freelancing. So that's applause,
thank
because
you.
we all know it's not easy to keep your head up each day when you're doing the freelancing work. So I applaud you.
I appreciate that.
Um,
Yeah.
so how long have you been, doing the freelance work that you do, and what do you specialize in?
Um, well, I started working with like a pretty small agency in town, and then it kind of grew into more of like a freelance role. And then as a part of that, my employer was giving me referrals, and then it just kind of was an outgrowth of working there. It started as a publisher, I guess, that kind of morphed into more of an agency. And then I got partnered up with a guy that moved to town who was doing font design.
Hmm.
So I applied for that job too, as a part of doing the freelance, and then just spent about the last 10 years focused in the font world. So it's been a juggling of interests basically. So my main meat is graphic design, and then the font design is kind of like a passion thing, and then I've I guess transitioned into illustration work more recently. So yeah, it's just, I don't know, I guess it's just a matter of talking to people, and a lot of opportunities have grown out of doing the font work, just because it's a kind of a very specialized thing that
It
um,
is.
it's got to be a self-taught thing. There's not really any schooling for it. um,
Okay.
so we've because of that, I guess we've started doing like workshops around the states, where we would just travel to a place and teach people how to make fonts and stuff. So it's all kind of an outgrowth of networking, you know, um,
Okay.
just meeting people. So
Have you guys ever thought about turning that into an online course
we
where it's
actually, yeah, we actually have been talking about that, and especially with the COVID thing, it's kind of becoming like a necessity. Just
mhm.
if we want to keep it going, it's just going to be a lot of limitations as far as meeting people in person, for the foreseeable future here. So yeah.
Yeah. So I was just totally enamored by the thought that you created fonts, because in my 20 plus year career, I have wished for the perfect font to go with a book design or magazine design, that really spoke to that. So, if there's no schooling for that, how, who introduced you to it, for you to get
Yeah.
started in it?
Yeah. Well, a lot of it was just out of that job. It was, Stuart Sandler from Font Diner. He's been making fonts for about over 25 years, I think now. And he moved to town with his family, and he just posted a job. I was fortunate enough to be able to, be in the right place at the right time for that. So he kind of um, mentored me on how to make fonts, teaching me the software, teaching me, the rules of font design, and then I just ran with it. So I was pretty fortunate to fall into it. It was a thing that when I went to school, I was really interested in my typography course.
Mhm.
But when it was taught, it was more of a, this is a this is a antiquated thing. Nobody's making
Right.
fonts anymore. And like here I was, working in the computer labs on using Font Diner fonts. He was still doing that. So it was just kind of like the being presented with this is still like a valid career, and just learning the ropes that way. And then I kind of got obsessed, I guess, with like the technical side and the production side of it, and just I love working on fonts, and I love just the work that goes into it, because I've always been kind of a equally right brain person as left brain. And with the font, there's a lot of an analytical
Mhm.
assessment that goes in, as far in addition to the creative side. So it was a really easy thing for me to get my mind around. So
So, what was the most shocking thing for you or surprising thing as, you know, with everything that we venture into for the first time? We have our preconceived notions of what it's going to be like. Oh, this part will be easy or that part will be hard. So,
mhm.
what was that shocking thing that you learned or things um, in this whole career path that you had no idea that this would be a part of it?
Yeah, I guess the most eye-opening or shocking thing would have been just how much it requires you to just really stick with something. I think it's easy to get discouraged if you work on a font, spend a bunch of time working on it, and then put it out into the world, maybe hoping somebody will buy it. It can be discouraging when it doesn't get noticed, it doesn't get uh, any eyes on it. And that was the biggest thing to have to overcome, I think, was just realizing like it's this thing that you're putting your a piece of yourself into, but then you have to just kind of like walk away from it and be okay with like whatever happens after that. That was the biggest thing. I came from a world where it was just you're being paid for your time.
Hmm.
You're just exchanging time for money. And with thoughts, it's kind of like it could be very fruitful if you spend a long time on a font, and it can be just it can feel like a waste of time too if nothing happens from it. So I think just being able to get uh I guess used to that nature of the work. You're creating products, digital products for sale, that may not see the light of day, or may be super popular. So you just have to be kind of okay with I guess the failure side of it. So
Well, I call it the refining side of
yeah, right.
it.
I like that. Yeah.
Because you
Yeah,
learn lessons from the project. So it's not a complete failure because you put the effort into it, but it refines you for the next
absolutely.
project.
Absolutely.
So where do you go? How do you find your clients? I mean, where do you go to get that? Do you present the fonts to different font marketplaces, or where does your client come from?
Yeah, that's primarily what it is, and that's what it has been. It's just there's a bunch of font distributors online that you can just reach out and ask if they'll carry your stuff, and they do. Most of the times they'll be like, yeah, we can put this up, or you can put this up yourself, or however it works. And then you're just basically having it's like a consignment thing, I guess, where you're you're splitting with some of the royalties, because they're the ones who are displaying it for you or
Right.
distributing it for you, and they do some of the marketing for you. But I think the thing that I've been really trying to pivot more into is just being able to self distribute. And and it does become a little bit more of like reaching out to people, and um, you know finding a way for it to fill a need for them. It's a pretty brand new process for me, because we're lucky over the past couple decades of just we got to focus on the work, and then like we would have distributors doing all of the marketing for it for us. But I think just it's such a saturated market now. There's so many fonts. People are still buying fonts, but it's a crowded market. And I think just the trick is to be able to set yourself apart. So whether it's like building a custom font for a company or corporation, or uh, just you know, I've had some people, you know, who uh, I guess they're an agency, they're a design agency, and they're able to offer the font, you know, custom font in their list of services. So it's kind of like a go between for me to be able to work with the agency to create the font for them, and then they get to be able to advertise that, hey, we can do, as a part of branding services, we can build you a custom font that you own. So
Yeah, so as you were talking, I was thinking about there are, I guess you would call it association agencies that
mhm,
deal specifically with all of the different associations. Is like the there's a plethora of associations that are
mhm,
in Washington, D.C.
mhm,
So dealing with association management companies and possibly presenting that to them, because most of these associations have annual events
mhm.
that are based around a theme.
Yeah.
And so for that font to be aligned with the theme, that
Mhm,
could be a way to tap into that corporate side of the market, but reach out to the management companies who are handling the events. And even though many of like large conferences or meet in person, there's still a need because there's so much that goes into the digital experience, you know, when you have a virtual conference, so to
mhm.
speak, that the fonts would still have that much of an impact or have that much value. So I was
Absolutely.
thinking about that.
Yeah,
So,
no, I think that that's a really cool. I mean, and that's the thing, you know, talking with you and talking with other people, it's like I don't know of all of the needs or all of the little, you know, nooks and crannies that it can be a service, but just, you know, having a conversation, I think that's where it's like, you know, fonts are a very granular, very unique thing to be able to bring in, you know, it's a design tool basically. And for people to be able to utilize that design tool as a part of like their DNA of their company. I think it's like it's an interesting thing. It goes hand in hand with you know, logo work, branding work,
mhm,
and I think too there's just some uh, value in having the confidence to just, when you get in, get your hands dirty and you design a font, you feel more confident about editing the letter forms. And you know, if this font has to have like a, I'm sorry, if this logo has to have like a uniform quality to it, you realize how much goes into an actual font pairing with your logo. And
mhm, mhm.
there's things you can do that can really just make it feel a lot more unified. So
Yes, and branding is about unification.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about the illustration side of
Yeah.
what you do, because I know you do marry the font with illustrations to create logos, and there may be other things you do as well. So I'm going to play devil's advocate here. So which one do you love more, illustrations or font design?
That's a great question. And that's something that I do think about a lot, but I think the font design, it just satisfies my, you know, the analytical brain a little bit more, because it's just it becomes just a production, you know,
Hmm.
exercise for me. And like um and I love that. I love, you know, numbers and math and all of that, but I need both. I need to exercise both. I've always like done cartoons and I've done caricatures of friends, and that was like a thing that I did growing up. And then it kind of became a thing that was like, it became too easy for me. Like I was like, I don't want to sound like I'm bragging, but it was just like, all right, where's the next challenge, you know?
Yeah.
And so then with the illustration, I feel like what is exciting about it is trying to find out how to grow it and make it become like more about the process, I think.
Hmm.
Because when I was drawing caricatures or whatever it was like, it was such a second nature thing that there was no process. It was just sit down and try to make it look like a person or something. But now I think with what is really exciting to me about illustration is trying to make it more, uh, it gives it a little bit more depth, like to work
Hmm.
on that. So, I mean, I guess that's kind of a roundabout answer there, but I think right now
No, I see it as a
yeah,
direct.
yeah. Okay.
I
Well,
can see what you're talking about.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just right now. I'm just very interested in the illustration application about, you know, the work. So Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And did you have a very unique, I don't want to use the term weird, but have you ever had a unique project that was very memorable, either on the font side or illustration side that, like you said, you need both to have a
Hmm.
balance to keep those juices going. So do you remember or recall a time that you had a unique or weird project that really um, got you going, like I
Hmm.
got to figure out a way to do this.
Interesting. Yeah. Boy, I mean, I feel like everything kind of presents a little bit of a challenge. It would have to be a font design project just
Okay.
because that one, I still feel like there's so much I'm learning about the rules of it.
Mm.
I think, we got to work on the Google Fonts project, and
Oh.
so that that was a challenge because I think it was a little bit of a having a client of that size. I think it's a little bit intimidating, but it was
Mm-hmm.
also very exciting. I mean, they were very engaging with us along the way, and they were thrilled about uh, what we were bringing to the table. So I mean, honestly, it was a very, like, it felt like a very high end client, but at the same time they were so responsive and they were so uh, supportive, that it took away a lot of the anxiety about uh, the caliber, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that project just felt like the most, I guess, official and the most challenging, but also it was just a very, professional process from beginning to end that took away a lot of the anxiety from it. So
And I will tell you this, that is what I teach in my brand coaching program, that when you attract the high ticket retainer client,
yeah,
it takes a lot of stress away because they already understand the value of what you're bringing. So
right,
you don't have to prove anything to them. And they want to partner with you because you can help them, but they
right.
already understand and know that they don't know how to do it. Otherwise, they would not have reached out to you. So
Hmm.
there's a bit of mutual respect involved in the process.
Absolutely,
And
yeah.
that's why there was engagement. And so I find that um, my passion for creating this program was because we, as creative people, designers, we really work hard to provide a good service as a general rule. We do.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so there's a need to attract the client, the dream client, just like you
Right.
described in Google, so
Hmm.
that you can do your best work because we get so much satisfaction and fulfillment from our right brain activity
Right.
that it only makes us better.
Hmm.
And so that's why there's such a great need for us to individually uncover and find those dream clients so we
Yeah,
can do exactly what you just described. And when you
absolutely.
have that level of freedom, oh my goodness, your creative juices just go off the charts.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you have to make yourself go to bed because you're
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
excited and there's so many endorphins just going. I think just physically there's something that takes place within us and we want to live in that mode.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
I am so excited that you were able to have that experience because you can pull back on it over and over and say, this is what I want my
Hmm.
everyday interaction with my client to be like. Because there are many
Absolutely.
people who have not had that experience yet. So
Hmm.
it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
So um, I'm going to ask you one more question.
Sure.
So, if you had a person who has been in font design for 2 years or less, let's just say 1 to 3 years,
Mhm.
what advice would you have for them?
Ooh, I think I think that probably the best advice would be, hmm, that's a tough one. I would probably want to have a, I would probably want to have like about an hour long conversation with them, but I think just like keep at it. It's rewarding, for me, it's rewarding. Just the process is rewarding. So it's, keep your head up, keep at it. And honestly, like from my experience, like I know a lot of font designers. I know I've worked with a lot of people in that world, and just it's a game of numbers, really. Just like anything, I think you just keep at it, and like don't get too don't fall into the paralysis by analysis thing.
Hmm.
And it's easier said than done because I know I do it, but I think
Me
that's
too.
yeah. But I think that that's just like you just got to be okay with it. It's just like setting it free and letting it go, and on to the next thing, and the more you do it, the more the more value that you're going to find in it, I guess, and the more you're gonna feel like I'm doing a good job here. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And for all the people, potential clients who want to get in touch with you, how can they get in touch with you?
I would say email or phone. I have Instagram that has all my contact info on it. So it's just it's a friend of mine, and I created a website called Yeti Guys. And we're kind of like doing it on the fly. We're kind of building it as we go, but we are both just he's got a gym that a boxing gym that we both were kind of like, I guess, integral in launching it, and he wanted to have merchandise
Mm,
for his gym, and so this was just like we looked at it as a collaboration, where I'm creating this merchandise, and it's fun for me to help the gym, and then so our business is called Yeti Guys, and the name of my Instagram is Yeti Guys Draw.
okay.
So yeah, you can find me on there. Otherwise, Dathan Boardman is my name, and Dathan Boardman at Gmail. It's pretty easy
Pretty
to get a
easy.
hold of me.
Okay.
Yeah, that way. So yeah,
And you can also find him in the group. So you can send
absolutely. Yeah,
Dathan a message in the Facebook group, um, send him referrals, whatever. Just message him within the group. But it was a pleasure getting to know you and talking
likewise.
to
Yeah,
you. This was so refreshing. So thank you
yeah,
so much, Dathan.
absolutely. Anytime. I'd love to do it again. So
Okay.